rolling here. 1 second. Let me go on here. Unmute. Start this video. And that. We're going to stop that video. Is the one and the only Tyler Wagner. Are you out there this morning, buddy?
Yes, I'm here. Is the video working?
There you go. I see you. There you go.
Okay. Awesome. What's up, brother?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself this morning?
I'm doing awesome, man. Just got back from a nice walk and ready for this.
Good stuff. Well, those of you guys that don't know who Tyler Wagner is, Tyler is the founder of Authors Unite, where he helps people write, publish, and market their first profitable book. He's helped people create passive income, become leaders in their field, start business from their books, and much more. Since starting Authors Unite, he's helped 250 plus people become profitable best-selling authors. I'm actually one of his authors from the Better Business Book, volume number 2, right, brother? That's how we met originally.
Absolutely.
He's also the best-selling author of Conference Crushing, a book designed to help people, business people and entrepreneurs maximize their ROI at network events, conventions, and conferences. He's now a leading authority in helping others publish and market their first book. His passion is in helping others spread their message with the word throughout the written word. He helps people accomplish this through his programs, coaching, and professional speaking. So what's up, my friend? How you doing? Everything rocking and rolling?
Yes, dude. I'm ready, dude. Thanks for putting on this event. It's amazing.
Hey, thank you for being a part of it. It's always nice when we have 30 plus people come together, help promote it, and be a part of it. It makes it really easy. But man, you are just killing it, doing some great stuff. For those that other things I didn't share, tell me a little bit about yourself, Tyler, before we get rocking and rolling, huh?
Yeah, for sure. So I live down in Miami. I've been doing the podcast for about 7-8 months now. My main business, as you mentioned, is Authors Unite. I've been doing that for about 5 years. And yeah, I just fell in love with the podcast. So I didn't know how much I would love it when I started it. So I'm just grateful to be here, and I plan on continuing to do that.
How has podcasting changed? I mean, how's it changed for you and your business?
Oh, dramatically. So for me, I think, so it's kind of like a triple win. I see it. So it's growing my network like dramatically. So I'm able to introduce people. And that's where I see the biggest thing in my network. Like I'll interview someone, and then a week later I'll interview another person, and I'm like, oh, you guys need to meet. Like you guys could definitely help each other. So as far as like building community and network, it's been huge for that. Secondly, obviously it helps the person I'm interviewing. It grows their audience as my audience grows. And then I'd say the last thing is it's really helped me grow my own business, because what happens is a lot of people I interview end up wanting to become authors, and then some of them end up becoming clients. So I view it as a complete triple win.
That is a huge triple crown of effect.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest surprise though? We've all heard some many things, but what's been your biggest surprise when it comes to your podcast? Biggest
surprise is, I'd say, so how many people like really are looking to be on a podcast? So like it's just, I love connecting with people. Like this is my jam right here. Like it's funny because I run a company that helps people with books, but I actually find it very difficult and challenging to like be all by myself and like write. But when it comes to something like this, like connecting with people, this is what I love to do. So what was surprising is when I started it and started reaching out to people and asking them to be on it, like I feel like I'm getting like an 80% yes response rate. So it's just really cool to see how many people actually want to be on podcasts.
Yeah, that's always interesting because people 80%. I think that's low. Kind of surprising.
It could be. I'm being like.
You're being conservative there, my friend.
Yeah, I think I am too, because it could always be 100. Like, but I just didn't know how much like people were hungry for it. I had no idea when it started.
I'll tell you a funny thing. I had somebody call me a vendor of mine or a friend of mine, and I asked him to be on. He's like, you don't want to be on. I'm like, what do you? You don't want to be on my podcast? Because I don't want to be not longer than 24 hours. I'm like, what are you hiding from the FBI or something?
Dude, you know what? You're right. Now that you say that, 80% is very low, because I can't even think of a time, maybe like 1 or 2, that somebody's actually been like flat out like, no, I don't want to be on your show. So probably like 95.
Who is probably the biggest surprise? Who's been your biggest surprise of a guest on your show, or the biggest nugget maybe?
Well, so I'll say the biggest surprise of this is I actually just landed Gary Vaynerchuk. So he's going to be on the show October 29th. I'm flying to New York. I'm going to interview him in person. So that is for me, like he's like my role model. So I'm like, holy crap! So I'm excited for that.
So do you need somebody to fly with you to help with the production? I'm glad to do that too. If you
Oh yeah, dude, I might actually. I was about to put out a post to see like videographers and stuff in New York, so I'm actually open to that.
because okay. Is he's not charging the $100,000 that he normally does for a half hour, an hour webinar? I take it, huh?
No, and this is again, another surprise of the podcast is just how much opportunity it's brought. So I interviewed this woman, and then like right after I interviewed her, she tweeted at Gary Vee and was just like, hey, because as you know, my podcast is short. It's like 5-10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So she tweets at Gary Vee and was like, hey, I was on this awesome podcast called The Business Blast. And the guy who runs it, Tyler, is a big fan of yours. Would you be on his show? And Gary must have just been on his phone at the time. And literally within minutes, he tweeted back, was like, fine. And then tagged his assistant. And I was like, what? So it just like worked. I was like, we're in. It was so cool.
That is really cool, man. Awesome. Congratulations. Is your show going to be longer than 5 minutes for that one episode?
I'm going to try. So I'm definitely, that one I'm going to go as long as he's willing.
Right. So a question I have for you, I'm sure many people out there, because a lot of podcasts are, 30 minutes or an hour. Yours is a small segment aspect of that. Does it? I think it almost probably takes more planning to stick in those time constraints for you, or is it pretty easy?
Yeah.
You figure out 2 or 3 questions and you go, or what?
So each one it's 8 questions for each one. It's always the same questions as of now. And I could change this in the future, but for right now, it's been fun this way. And I think a lot of people from my audience are telling me that there's the long form. There's the Tim Ferriss, the Joe Rogan, and I watch those myself. And
those are like marathons. It's not long. Yeah, those are marathon Tim Ferriss episodes.
3 hours. So typically you don't watch the whole thing in one sitting.
Sure.
So for me, I feel like things are going audio. So I think starting a podcast now is a great thing. And then our attention spans are getting smaller and smaller as well, or shorter and shorter. So that's why I started it. And what I do is 2 to 3 days a week, I just like batch them. So they're back to back. So like sometimes I'll have like 15 podcasts in a day and they're like back to back. But to me, again, because I love connecting, it's like, it sounds crazy, but it's like really fun. Because I like meet 15 new people back to back to back. And but sometimes if it like goes over, like I've had some that'll end up being 20 minutes just because the conversation's like going. And then if the next one's late, then the next one's late. And I'm like, oh, it's like the domino effect. And then I'm late for everything. So, but it's fun.
What advice can you give to somebody who's maybe thinking about starting a podcast out there?
So for me, I use Anchor. And I think for me, like the simplicity of it is a big pro. I think there might be some cons that I've heard that I'm not like totally aware of. Because again, like 7-8 months, I'm still like fairly new. But I would say just go for it. Like I had an idea for it. And then once I started it, I wouldn't have known how much I loved it. And now I foresee myself doing it for like maybe forever. Like it's something you can do, when you can't walk anymore when you're older, you can still do a podcast. So I see it as a big long-term play.
You might be a little grouchier at that time, though.
Yeah. I might be. All right, let's go. 5 minutes. Let's go.
Come on. In my day, we did it in 8 minutes and we liked it.
Yeah, I can see that.
So let's talk, because you've got Authors Unite. How has the podcast helped you with Authors Unite in your books that you're doing and helping people out there create books?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of the people like that I interview are like coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs. I get a lot of people from LinkedIn. Is how I find a lot of my interviewees. And now that I've done, I've done like 750, I think, shows. So I ask for people to refer people that they think would be a good fit. So now it's just kind of going on its own. But because that's actually kind of my niche. So it just kind of like worked out where it's like, a lot of consultants, coaches, entrepreneurs want to write a book to help grow their business. So after I interview them, they find out that I run Authors Unite, and then that kind of starts the conversation. And sometimes it leads to a client relationship and sometimes it doesn't. But it's definitely grown it. It's been a positive impact for sure.
Mm-hmm. Christina asks, what is Anchor? Can you explain what Anchor is for everybody out there that didn't know?
Yeah, for sure. So it's anchor.fm is the website. And from what I've been able to find, it's the simplest way to start a podcast. So literally like you create a username, password, get somebody to do your cover art the podcast, upload it, and then you can record and publish and put your description, everything all inside of Anchor. And then they'll actually distribute it automatically to all the other places like iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and I think I'm on like 10 other platforms. So it's the easiest way to do a podcast.
Yeah, it's not as difficult as most people I think have made it out to be, like it was 10, 11 years ago. It's got a lot easier in the last year with different things. What has been your probably the most surprising thing from podcasting besides Eddie getting a hold of Gary Vee? What's been the biggest thing that has impacted you the most from your episodes or your interviews?
I'd say it's really the network. So what I'm starting to do now is I'm having like everybody I interview join. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mighty Networks. It's like a new platform that is really cool. So it's like you can build a community with it, and then it shows you where like everybody, if you're near other people in the community, and you can have like courses in there, and it's just like this whole thing that like really grows a network and engages a network. So to me, that's part of like why I'm doing it, because I would love to just land in the city and then go on to Mighty Networks and like, oh, I've interviewed 50 people that live in Kansas, like, or whatever, like, let's see if they're around to do a dinner. So that's what's been surprising is like a lot of people want to do it, and it's fun, and then it's growing the network, and like relationships are everything in my opinion. So that's what I'd say is the network. I didn't realize how quick it would grow from it.
That is really cool. So mightynetworks.com, is that the website?
I think it's .co, but if you just go to Google, I'm not sure, just Mighty Networks, and it's just like, imagine like a Facebook group on steroids. Like it's just way better organized, and it's very engaging for
I love that. I love that. Okay. So Aubrey Hudson asked, what is the name of the distribution company that blasts podcasts to all the outlets? That was Anchor. Anchor.fm.
Oh, yeah, Anchor, yeah.
Aubrey there for you. It's a pretty easy platform to get on, get interviews, get it all the production stuff like that. She goes, thanks, guys. All right, so good stuff. Yeah, we get some love. People loving Tyler out there. Good stuff here. All right, we got somebody jumping in here. I'm gonna mute somebody here real fast. All right, cool. What other advice would you give somebody out there starting? Besides the Anchor, what would some other advice that you'd give somebody who's looking to start their podcast?
Yeah. Okay. So this might go against what other podcasters say, but for me, I'll just say this: like, don't wait until you have all the appropriate like equipment. So for me, like I have a Blue Yeti microphone, but like I use Skype or Zoom just like this. I use Anchor, and for my first like few hundred episodes, I wasn't even using the Blue Yeti mic. Like I was actually recording it directly through the computer, and then it was I got that mic. That's what I got. And like right now I'm using like Apple headphones. So I think what stopped me years ago when I wanted to do a podcast, but I didn't do it, is because I was like, I don't know the equipment, and like, I don't know how to host all of the audio files. Like it was all very overwhelming. So now with Anchor, like if your audio's 7 out of 10, like that's, in my opinion, that's good enough to start. And then once it starts growing, then you can get the mic, then you can get everything else that's involved. So I would say just start.
That's I think it was one of the biggest things I thought of too. It's like, oh my God, I got to drop another couple grand on audio equipment that I don't know how to use effectively. And we use Zoom, pretty easy to use. We use a webcam here, headphones we need to, or the Yeti mic is the most expensive investment, basically the $125 for a good mic. But that's audio is everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just saying, you don't need like a full studio, like some people, like they're putting it off because they're waiting to like buy the whole studio with it. I'm like, just start now. And then you can go from a 7, 8 out of 10 of quality to 10 out of 10 with audio. And the 7 or 8 will be fine to start with, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly out there. What's your goals? What's your goal with your podcast in the next 12 months for 2019, Tyler?
I'd say really to just grow it as much as possible with the network. So like I do it, really for 2 reasons. One, because I think it gives the audience a lot of different perspectives. So, quick 5-10 minute interviews, if you listen to just 10 of them, you're getting, 10 different people's perspectives in like within an hour. So I think that's awesome to learn. And then secondly, like I was saying before, to grow the network. So I would love like 5 years from now when I land in Kansas, I'll have like 1,000 people that I've interviewed. and then we're going to need a bigger restaurant, you know? So that's really exciting to me, just to like getting to know that many people on a deeper level is really cool.
I love that. That's a great tip with that aspect of great idea about things. I don't think some get so used to being in their studio behind the camera, so they're out amongst their following or our tribe, and that's a great way to really interact and even grow.
Yeah.
Grow the love, I guess you could say, even more so, right?
Definitely, yeah. And I think, you know, even like with this, right? So you have like 30 people coming today. Like I just always think as far as business, like we're stronger together. So the bigger your community can be and the more people, the better. And if you support each other, so this wouldn't be as significant if there was only like 2 people. So it's 30. So it's a whole day event.
I love that. That's a great tip I'm going to take from here, from learning there. Talk a little about what you do with Authors Unite. Talk a bit more about that.
Yeah, for sure. So pretty much anything you can think of, from like going from book idea to like building a business off the back end of your book and doing a book launch, we do. Our main 2 things that we do is we do like publishing for you, and then we do an entire book launch and build like your sales funnel, webinar funnel, whatever it might be, off the back end of your book. And we just create that whole system for you. Is basically what we do.
Yeah, and you've helped out a tremendous amount of people doing that, right? Big surprises.
Yeah, and the 100-person book that we talked about earlier. So that's another thing. We're actually about to publish, or we already published, we're about to launch the 4th one. So yeah, you were in the 2nd one, and that's really exciting too. So it's 100 people in one book. They each share their best business lesson. And yeah, that's really fun for me to do as well.
Hang on a second here.
You got a copy
on the shelf here.
No way.
Right there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But that was such a great way of launching the book. You reached out to people, made it affordable for people to be a part of it, and you did. I have to admit, you just did a great job production-wise, having people write their chapter, their story, their tip. The biggest tip, I think, was what this one was about, and it was so seamless compared to what I've seen other people like bang their head. You know, want to slip their wrist when they come to writing a book. Like Debbie was talking about earlier, not everybody's thinking about writing a book, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I think it's a great way to start, because writing a book is definitely not easy. It is overwhelming. So to get your feet wet, I think like a collaborative 100-person or whatever it is a great way to start, learn the process. And then if you want to do your own, then you can go from there. So.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, Tyler?
I guess, authorsunite.com if you're interested in that, or email me, Tyler@authorsunite.com.
So such a great stuff, man. Good stuff out there.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Well, Tyler, I want to say thank you. I know that you've been traveling quite a bit. You're always out traveling, having some fun stuff like that. So thanks for jumping back in, reaching out, making sure everything's rocking and rolling. Look forward to the show. Guys, I love listening to this podcast. I've been binging it as well. Take a few minutes, listen to it, leave them a 5-star review. Trust me, it's like Lay's. You can't only listen to just one.